Hello and welcome to Kinsei-Do Corner. Have you ever wondered how to unlock your full potential and live your healthiest, most fulfilling life? Then this podcast is here to help you achieve just that. We dive deep into the world of health and performance, exploring how to move better, feel better, and live a healthier, more fulfilling life. I chat with inspiring coaches, athletes, health experts, and high performers from all walks of life to learn from their stories, mindsets, and lifestyle choices. Whether you're an experienced high performer or new to the world of health and well-being, I'm in your corner to guide you on the path to being the healthiest, happiest, and highest performing version of yourself. Let's go. Hello friends, and welcome back to Kinsei-Do Corner, where we explore the intersection of functional fitness, health, and optimizing your lifestyle for performance. In today's episode, I'm going to speak to Pirmin, my friend from Berlin, and Pirmin's journey is very, very interesting, and it's a testament to the power of being adaptable and resilient. So Pirmin is a seasoned entrepreneur. He's worked at Amazon. He's created several businesses alongside, and since then, still running two of them at this moment. But what is more intriguing about Pirmin and his journey is that currently, at this moment, alongside with his wife and his young child, they just uprooted their life, left their home in Berlin, cancelled all of their plans and all of their fixed routes, and are currently on a several months long traveling adventure across Europe before they intend to settle down in Switzerland in a couple of months' time. What I loved about this episode is that Pirmin is living proof that health and fitness are not confined to a gym or a structured schedule. So we will dive into how Pirmin manages to prioritize his well-being, in spite of the unpredictable nature of travel, as well as the unpredictable nature of being an entrepreneur. And we'll talk about strategies for maintaining your fitness and your nutrition, your sleep habits, and generally all of your lifestyle routines while on the go. How important it is to have mental resilience, being able to face changes, and how to apply the lessons that he has learned from his travel as well as his life founding and running companies to disruption in your routine and how to deal with that. So whether you're a busy professional, a parent, or simply someone looking to optimize your lifestyle, Pirmin's insights will provide you with valuable takeaways. So let's dive right in. All right. Hello. Let's jump right in. I've got Pirmin, as I mentioned in my prelude today, and I'm really excited to have you on, Pirmin. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to speak to you today.
Amazing. Why I wanted to talk to you is because, and we'll dive into each aspect of this, but you and your family have recently kind of decided to uproot yourselves from your hometown or from Berlin, where you were living, where I also happen to be from, and basically go on a several month-long travel around Europe. So that sounds exciting. I'm sure it is exciting. But for the angle that I would love to hear more about is how this kind of flexible and now very, very open lifestyle, how that impacts how you approach health and fitness, how you keep yourself kind of on track with short and long-term goals. So that's kind of the angle that we want to explore today. So really, really excited. And maybe let's just start with an introduction to yourself. So where are you right now and what are you doing?
Yeah, we're right now in actually today rainy Corsica, France. So for the next couple of months we are doing some trip and mainly island hopping. So we started out here in Corsica, which actually is super nice. Right now it's raining. Also rained when we arrived here, but other than that, we had a lot of sunshine. So that's quite nice, having a view from the office, so to say, to the ocean, which is always nice. And then it's on to Italy, to Sardinia, actually. Then some more Italy, maybe, and also Austria. So that's the plan for the foreseeable future. And hopefully, eventually, then as a next step, Switzerland. So that's the whole trip. As you said, so basically the idea came about already last year. And then, my wife and our son, he's like 4.5 years old. So we actually had to gather some courage and just cancel our apartment in Berlin and said, okay, now we are going to be on the road for a couple of months. We always wanted to do it. And actually the push factor for that was Our son needs to go to school at some point, and then I think we are going to be a little bit more settled. We don't want to do this forever now, but we just wanted to try it out, and yeah, that's what led us here to Corsica on our little adventure. As you said, it's exciting, also scary, insightful, but it's also stressful sometimes and demanding. But it's, I think, a pretty unique experience. So we're super happy that we can do it. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, and that pretty much sums up life in general, right? Exciting and also scary. But I love that, and as you say, right, there's a finite opportunity for this. Having children and wanting them to have a steady education is a as great as it is a limiting factor. It is a limiting factor in my life currently, which is why we're tied to one location and to fixed schedules that are basically determined by the school. And so yeah, it's amazing that you have this opportunity now, and also obviously you have this opportunity because you run your own company and you're not tied down to a physical location by constraints of your work. But this is also a flexibility that you need to manage, right? And everything, freedom always sounds so great, but freedom also means you actually need to think a bit more. You need to manage a bit more. So how is that aspect working for you, being kind of on what might feel like a holiday, but then having the responsibility of a business, of two businesses still in the background running and having to keep them going?
Yeah, so I think what the advantage going into this was that I always used to work a lot and had some sort of structure because I'm working now for 15 years. I co-founded, so if you count this now, I think if I'm counting correctly, 5 companies or so. One of them actually made it to be sold. The other ones didn't survive, but so far now I'm at least at a record of 3 dying prematurely and now 3 being sold or alive. So that's I think it's a positive trend. And so my life always used to revolve a lot around work anyway. So it had to be somewhat structured, but work was just all encompassing. How I included health and fitness, for example. I mean, it was 2025. We also did a lot of partying, but I also had no problem with going to the gym after I left the office at 11 p.m. So I just went whenever I could, and I found myself in the gym sometimes Friday and a night from Friday to Saturday at 1 a.m. In Berlin, gyms are always open, so I didn't really care. So it was always, in that sense, it was easy for me because I didn't have to plan it. What I learned since we had our son, which also now I think pays dividends now, is you just have to schedule it, and you have to have realistic expectations while also remaining some sort of flexibility. What do I mean by this? For example, and also managing this like vacation and work sort of style. So what do I mean? So I think for me, what's important is basically 4 things I need to include in my routine. One is a more mental thing. So I like to meditate, and I've been doing this for years now, which is easy to incorporate. It's an app. It's 10 to 15 minutes a day. So this is something. Health-wise, I have brought my vitamin stack with me and supplement stack, so that's easy to carry. How I organize my fitness. Also, I mainly use Freeletics on my phone and 100 push-ups app. So that's also super easy. You can do it anywhere. So my fitness setup, I could actually bring with me running shoes and a mat, a yoga mat. So basically that's it. But how do I manage it? So in the first week, I felt already I was quite lost. So everything I tried to make it happen somehow. I tried to juggle everything. I was completely uprooted from my really planned out weeks. Back in Berlin, I had like 7 days a week, and 7 days a week at least I had a workout. Sometimes it was 15 minutes. Sometimes it was 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I averaged like half an hour a day. So I did it basically like every day. And the way I did it was just I get up earlier, 6:30 before my wife and my son wake up, and then I do it, and then it's done. And that worked super well for me. I never thought, I just told you that I went to the gym late at night in the past, and I never thought I could be a morning person. But actually, it just took me changing that. I think 3 years ago I changed that. Actually took me maybe a week to get this done. It's crazy how fast you can switch from that. I never thought it would be possible. That obviously then ended once we moved out. So the first week I was kind of lost, and then I thought, okay, I thought I need to reinvent the wheel. So basically I thought, okay, how do I now, so where do I work out? How do I set it up basically? And then at one day I just started, okay, you know the recipe already, and it's getting up a little bit more early, and then just opening one of your apps, don't think too much about it, just get in the routine again. And that just like 2 or 3 days of this, just getting in the routine again. And just at the beginning, it just started 10 minutes, the next day, 15 minutes. And then I'm now back at my 30 minutes. And it also just took me 3 or 4 days to ramp that up again from being completely lost in the first week. So I think one of the things I learned is here, I mean, you know what already works for you, right? So just try to create the conditions that you can facilitate it. And I just know, okay, my wife, my son, they are a little bit of a night owl. They like to sleep in a little bit longer, and I can get up earlier. And that was, for example, a game changer for me already. So a little bit relying on what I already know works. The second part basically was, and that's what I mean with a little bit of flexibility. What I learned, especially since, I mean, you can obviously also I think relate to that since I became a father. It's not about me anymore. And I can't, right? So it's completely not about you anymore. And unpredictable things happen, and you can't really plan your day as you used to, because sometimes you want to spend time with your family also. That's one thing. You want to be part of it. But also sometimes like stuff happens, your wife is sick, your kid is sick, you are sick. Whatever. And then it used to frustrate me a lot, because I tend to become then a little bit obsessed and ambitious when I start stuff, and that sometimes also changes into a direction where you're not satisfied anymore when you're not enjoying. If you work out, it's just you're pissed off when you're not doing it, and you book it into your head like it's a failure, so to say. And that's what I also tried to transfer here, and what I learned in the last years. I had to learn it basically the hard way. So step by step, incorporate a little bit of flexibility into there. So I mean, if I had to cut my workout short 5 minutes, or if I want to do this or that exercise today, and for some reason I couldn't because of time or whatever, or now here I didn't bring all of my workout gear. So I just, as I said, so I can't do all of the exercises I usually do. There are no kettlebells, no weights, no anything. So for me, it was just adjusting to that. It's okay. So now I know for the next couple of months we're on the road. So it's maybe not health and fitness is always a priority for me, but it's not like the first priority. Currently, it can be. So do what you can. It's also a little bit. I heard that phrase, which was exciting to me or interesting. Yeah, decide on what to suck at for some time. So basically, I have to now decide, okay, I have to realize I'm on the road now with my family. I have to make sure that we are happy. I have to still manage my business. And as much as I like to work out 1 hour per day, it probably is not going to happen in that sense. And also my nutrition, we're in France, so I can't walk by any bakery without having some sweet treat. I eat a baguette a day. Also, I usually don't drink alcohol, but here I try the local beers. I try red wine. I drink a glass at least with dinner every day. So I think that's also something that I learned. So it don't happen if you schedule it. And I think it causes also a lot of frustration if you try to completely like white knuckle it, and it has to be perfect, and you have to do like your full workout schedule every day, all day, and you can't basically let go for a day, or maybe cut a workout short or something like that. And that's also what I learned. If you combine that, and if you just start, it's always, you must have heard this a million times. So what got me back into really quickly ramping up again was really just one day pulling out the 100 push-ups app, and just I just did like 50 or so, and still that's like this 5-10 minutes the first day, it already saved me, and I got going again. You get the motivation again, it feels good, and you just see it works. So it works, and you can build up from that. So long story short, I think that's what I learned already in the first couple of weeks. This combination of flexibility, but also it doesn't happen if you don't take time for it, if you don't schedule it, if you don't think about it in advance. Basically, some people say if you don't put out your your running shoes in the evening before you run in the morning, then it doesn't happen. And it's the same. It's the same here. It's wherever you go, there you are. So and you take all of that with you. But that's what I learned, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, amazing. I think that's so much wisdom there that normally takes people years to learn, I love how you kind of summed it up and made it relatable by explaining how you build it into your day, and I often, not to kind of blow my own horn, but people often assume that I have health and fitness and workout and training, everything is tightly controlled, and that I never miss a workout and everything is always perfect, and I don't, right? I also miss workouts. I cut them short, and like you, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. When I start a workout and I have a plan to do like this many sets and this kind of progression and a long proper warm up and a proper cool down. I mean, people our age, we need the cool down, and then it gets cut short, and then I hate it. But I don't remember, or I wouldn't know now whether 3 months ago I had to cut a workout short. What I would know is if I hadn't done it, right? I hadn't done it once, I hadn't done it another day, and always looking for the perfect and then not doing it. That by now I would know and I would feel. So I think if for people listening, if you take away what you just said and just do it, in that weird way, but just get started, and the momentum will build.
It's exactly that phrase. And actually, I sent it to my sister yesterday. That's why I was laughing, because exactly that meme I sent to my sister yesterday, because I know she's also super ambitious. Actually, she's a natural talent in running. So Christmas this year, I ran the first time, and I was already preparing for a year. So I felt quite confident. But she blew past me. She said, okay, if she would have run any, so I had my best time of the year running with her on New Year's Day, actually. And she said, actually, she's super casual. She didn't research running for 1 minute in her life. And she said, okay, if I would have run any slower, I would have stopped running. So this is like, so, and I actually sent this to her yesterday because she's super ambitious and diligent. And I thought she would benefit a lot from meditating, actually. And I've been talking to her for now a year. She just doesn't basically, I don't know, she doesn't know how to start or whatever. But as it just said, it's just like, do it. Even it's just like five minutes, and that's the main thing. And also, as you just said, in the end of the day, you also have to, I think I'm speaking for the both of us, then we have the tendency to zoom in, right, a lot. But actually, if you zoom out, so I won't remember if I cut my workout last week short, but what it adds up to me, I mean, as I'm super obsessed with fitness, because I think I grew up as a super chubby kid. I didn't want to stay as chubby kid all my life. And then I basically started working out, if you like, when I was like 12. So when the puberty starts and you think, okay, at some point, I don't know, maybe your girls stop being weird and you kind of find them interesting. Then you think, okay, so I got to do something. And basically, so now been working out for more than half of my life, and all the things I'm doing now, I never thought, basically, for example, running. I never thought I could take up running. I thought it couldn't. But just starting it at some point, and consistency. That's also what I learned. I think it's also everywhere, the message, but I think it's so true for me also. It's just consistency, just doing it every day. And if it's just like, if you like to do 1 hour a day, sometimes it's you just have 5 minutes, do it anyway. It's just like consistency, being in the habit, making it a daily part of what you're doing, like brushing your teeth, and you will see so much compounding effect. And that's also what I learned, is the compounding effects of it over years. Crazy. It's a difference you won't recognize yourself. If you haven't started, you won't recognize yourself in a year or 2 or even 5. And the interesting thing is you can always keep adding stuff or switching it around to it. Yeah, so that's interesting. It stays interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, this is so true what you say. And obviously, unfortunately, the danger is the opposite also applies, right? The compounding effect also applies for things you don't do, right? One night you don't sleep enough, next night you don't sleep enough. These things compound, and you can unfortunately, very quickly and very easily dig yourself into a hole from which it is not impossible, but very, very difficult to come back out. And when that happens, you have to kind of take your advice to heart, basically, and just start again, right? Start with 10 push-ups, right? And then or in the sleep example, start by sleeping 15 minutes more, 30 minutes more. Right, and you probably still will wake up the next day and feel really tired, and it will be as if you didn't have any positive change from that, but it will compound just like the negative did, the positive also will. So yeah, so that applies to everything, to health, to fitness, even let's say to reading, right? If you want to read a book, but every day you only read a page. Yeah, so it's going to take you 300 days to read an average book. But if you didn't read that one page, then you wouldn't get anywhere ever. So
Yeah.
so that's that. What or how do you mentioned it briefly about obviously your son coming into the world and changing your life in more ways than one. Do you have any insights or any ways that you work around the needs of your family to still incorporate the things that are important to you, like health and fitness?
Yeah, I do, and it has been quite a priority. So basically, this also connects what you said last. That also like negatives effect they compounded. So for me, for example, I came from being in the gym relatively. I wouldn't say now looking back, I felt quite fit, but I was not like in terms of cardiovascular health. I didn't do any cardio at all. I just in Germany is like the term is just like I'm going to the gym for looking good in the club. So it was just like weights and bench press and biceps and triceps and stuff like that. Just like and a lot of
Yeah,
protein powder.
typical bro split. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. No leg days at all. So completely just what's visible. So I was coming from that, and then our son came into the world, and then sleep obviously completely destroyed. So for us, it was like the first 3 years. It was like waking up first every 2 hours, and then it was at least 2 times a night for quite some time. And I had also that weird connection in my mind because you spend the whole day either working or caring for your kid. And then in the evening, you also wanted to spend some time together. And then you would say, okay, I reward myself by, I don't know, watching something on Netflix, for example, which we also did previously, but it was balanced with obviously the fitness and other stuff more. But suddenly that fitness part then broke away because I felt too tired. My schedule was broken. I had no idea how to fix it because like waking up early or going to bed earlier for me was not an option. And then it spiraled. So I never really stopped, but it slowed down quite a bit. I just could get some stuff in. And then also I had also mentally put me in a super negative place. And then what snapped me out of it basically was then, just also one initiative I signed up for. I never did yoga, for example. I signed up for a yoga class. I never did that. And that had me start because the session started at 6 a.m. in the morning. So it was right next to our house, which was nice. But that's just one thing, just not thinking about it, just prepaying for that course. It cost me 80 euros or so. And I said, okay, now I prepaid for it. So I'm 4 weeks, I'm going to do it. And that basically then snapped me out of it and was the catalyst for that. And then I found out, okay, how do I manage, how do I build this? How to build my setup in a new way that works for my family. And that for me was the realization, okay, I have to get up earlier, which also means that I have to go to sleep a little bit earlier and prioritize that. And as you said, I did the same. So basically, and I sometimes also here, I think sleep is still one of the things I could improve on because sometimes, it's just the only time that Carla and we have time to talk also in the evening. But it was the same for me. I just tried to push my going to bed time 15 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier, what I could 5 minutes earlier, just shaving off. And after a week or so, it was just like it was an hour earlier already, and then you can work with it. And all of a sudden, the last 3 to 6 months, I didn't even need my alarm clock anymore to wake up at 6:30. So you just adjust to that. And that was the game changer for me, actually, to at least during the week prioritize it. Why? Because I know now, obviously, there's a lot of interesting stuff on Netflix and on YouTube, but that short time pleasure it gives me on that specific day is nice if you do it just like for me at least. So it's worth it if you do it sometimes like a sugary treat or something like that. It's also what makes life fun sometimes, but not every day. It's not like for me, it's not like every day. I prioritize because then I know if I wake up earlier the next day, I have basically done my workout, I showered, I'm completely ready until my wife and my son wake up. And then I'm still good to go. I have time to spend with my son. I have time to tend to the business. And that was basically a game changer for me. And that already also made it for me like quite robust, the process. Because if I would still have to negotiate with my wife every day, for example, okay, now I want to go out for a workout, I don't know, at this specific point in time. And so basically you have to negotiate every day on who is taking care of our son and stuff like that. Then I think it just there's so much friction, especially if you have like a stressful time, then you just won't do it. And that actually on the weekends it's more flexible. So I also do it during the day, wherever it fits in. I just make sure that I do it. Sometimes also in the morning, but weekends are a little bit more flexible. But that was also for me a game changer, finding the system or that specific approach that works for me. For me, it's in the morning. For some people, it might be in the evening. For some people, it might be during lunch or whatever. Also see a lot of people doing that. But just scheduling it, finding it out, testing it, you can just test it. And it's not that you can be perfect on the first try. For me, that version of it worked out. But I think it's just the overall message is just find that spot in your day where it works, and try to weave it in a way that is at least possible friction with your family, because then it's also more robust and you know you can do it every day. Because I just know I can do it basically if I'm not sick, I can do it every day, because it's just that's just the way our schedule as a family works.
It doesn't impact anyone else, right? It's basically only on you. And yeah, it's funny that you mentioned it during the COVID times. Obviously, when we were in lockdown, couldn't go out. There was no gym to access. So I woke up earlier and I did my workout in the morning. That worked well because anyway, we were only at home and I was working from home. But it wasn't really the preferred, because I had to wake up significantly earlier. Again, because I want to get a long workout in, right? We talked about that earlier. But now it's kind of, my routine has come to the point where I do my workout in a lunch break, and it is the time that works best because it has literally zero impact on my family. So I don't have to wake up earlier. I don't have to leave them in the evening. But it isn't perfect because it isn't long enough. It isn't as long as I would want it, right? I still have to also eat lunch in that same hour or hour and 10 minutes. So it isn't perfect, but it is the slot that works at the moment for me most optimally, and I'm able to get it in. Yeah, let's say 4 times a week. There's always something that comes up once, but yeah. So that works out well, and yeah, you just gotta find what works for you. I also like that you kind of compared Netflix or just, let's say, unproductive time to a sugary treat, and I think that is a nice segue also to nutrition, which we all obviously know is a very important part of this whole health puzzle. So now you, as you alluded to earlier, now you're in France. There's a lot of sugary treats. How do you approach, let's say, nutrition and a healthy diet for yourself and your family? How do you approach that in general, and how has it maybe changed specifically now that you're on the road?
Yeah. So also as I said, I started when I was super young. I was super chubby, and I think that stays always in your head. So I was always super mindful of nutrition, and I realized that if I look back the last really 20 years, I looked more into it. The more I learned, there was always some steps that I took, some specific periods of my life where I made at one point a huge improvement. And I remember, for example, one of those were when going out for university, and basically first year of university, living alone. I lived with my brother. He was at the same university, partying a lot, eating whatever. And then I realized, I still remember one of my friends said at the semester closing party of the first semester, so he just made a passing remark. So that I gained weight, and I was my alarm bells went off again when I was 10, 12 years old. So okay, then that was the first step. I got better. Then the second step was during the last year of university. I was living together with 5 other people in a house, and we were not satisfied with how we looked, basically. And then what we actually started as a group it was super funny. It was Weight Watchers. Remember? Could you see I don't know, 5 20-year-olds or then doing Weight Watchers? And I still remember one thing. It was one cookie. If you eat 1 cookie a day, there wasn't any room anymore for eating dinner. That's what I remember. So that was one step. So basically over then some stuff in Berlin, also influence of different other people I worked out with or are super dialed in with nutrition. Basically what we did also as a family, basically we don't buy any like sweets or stuff like that, because I know that if we buy it and it lies around, I'll eat it. So this is basically, and that is actually one of the game changers that work for me. Just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. And if I, it's not that I don't indulge in stuff, but I just don't buy it, and I just don't have it at home. And when I do it super. Then I really enjoy it. The next thing was for me, for example, for Berlin and startup culture, part of it was always like eating out a lot. And I also I was working for 4 years at Amazon, and one of my friends there, they're also super dialed in with nutrition. So they were preparing their own food every day, like fresh in the office, brought some stuff with them and bought some other stuff. And that's where I changed that around. So I was basically, most of the days I bring my own lunch, and it's just based on, I eat a lot of lentils, to be honest, because it's easy to prepare, has as much protein as chicken breast, for example, put in some feta cheese or whatever, and some beetroots or whatnot, and it's easy to prepare, and I have it every day. So that was also one of the game changers. In Berlin, there are a number, we went out for some food last time when you guys were there, and it's plentiful, but you don't know what they put into it, right? So I have now, by changing that, and just like, I found also something again, I scheduled it, I found out something that works for me. I can put sort of on autopilot. I can do, while I'm preparing a little bit of breakfast for, it's my job, for example, preparing the breakfast for us as a family. I also put in my lentils. They can cook for 20 minutes. I put them in my box, and I'm good to go. So this is something I don't have to think about it. And that's also something I schedule it, and I don't have to think about it because I do it every day. Yeah. People ask me, how can you live like that sometimes, eating every day, eating the same thing? So it doesn't actually, it's also benefits they outweigh. I don't need to, I also enjoy to eat a burger or good pizza, but then I do it very consciously, and I enjoy it, and I make an event out of it, and I really appreciate it. I just don't do it every day. And also, I don't know, as you know, as a father with a family, you also have to use your working time super productively. And if I eat a burger or pizza for lunch, then obviously not so productive anymore. So on that way, it's basically, a two-way benefit. So this is also something I changed. Why I'm telling you this? Okay, this is where I'm coming from. Like super, like scheduled, basically
dialed in, clean. Yeah,
clean. My wife also, I'm super happy. She is also super into clean eating and healthy eating. So this is important. And now we arrive here, and everywhere are baguettes. And yesterday I bought a strawberry tart, and I'm a super visual person. So when I go into the supermarket and there are like sugary drinks in different colors and that I've never seen before, I want to try them. Or if there's different kinds of local beers or whatever, I want to try them. So this goes back to deciding on what to suck at. I said, okay, if there's one thing, I don't want to stop working out. And I think I can manage that from what I'm seeing so far. But I said, okay, at least now for the first week, I didn't care at all. I just ate what I wanted to eat because it was just interesting. Now I can already feel that, okay, so I sort of scratched that itch a bit. So I know I can go back a bit and be a little bit more mindful. But it's one of my specific things I want to get out of this time is I like to eat. I like to indulge in this kind of stuff. I won't overdo it, but also won't beat myself up if I eat I don't know, 3/4 of a baguette each day and have a glass of wine, right? And if at that boulangerie, if the strawberry cake looks great, then I just have it. I just don't try to do like just have to have my fixed schedule of things that we usually eat as a family, which is then also here. I think we went out to a restaurant now just twice, for example. So we still cook our. We have oatmeal for breakfast, so this is something we just carried over from our usual routine, and also for dinner. So we just cook ourselves, and I think that's also quite a big game changer. Our default is, out of 30 days in a month, 8 of them we just cook our own food. We know what's going into it, and just try to eat clean. And if I have those, like those anchors in terms of breakfast and dinner, if I want to like specifically have something, then I just have it. If my body fat index then goes up a bit, so be it, because I know when I'm back on if I'm getting back super quickly when I'm back on my usual schedule. So I think that's how I approach it. I don't want to be pedantic about it, but I know I have to have those anchors that we also had in Berlin. I have to have those anchors so that at least doesn't get completely out of control. And I don't want to find myself in a situation where 4 weeks from now I saw everything disintegrate and I just eat chocolate and cake because I like it. So just trying to be super mindful and also then carrying over some of the things we're doing anyways. And I think that so far works quite well and organically. So doesn't feel like it's stressful or doesn't feel like it's, I don't know, I'm missing out. And I think it already started naturally to go back a bit. So I think, okay, now I scratch those itches. And if I see something now really specifically, I have it. But I don't like completely let go of everything that I've learned or done and just say, okay, whatever. It's just, I also think long-term not a lot of fun down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's a very, very, very healthy approach to the whole thing. It's almost, what I love about it is, in this particular case, we're talking about nutrition, but it's a mindset overall, right? It's a mindset of life will afford me these opportunities. And as long as I don't take every single one of them, I'll be fine, right? I have my structure. I'm super jealous of your lentils. I love lentils, but they're not unaffordable over here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I actually bring lentils from Germany, a kilo or so.
Yeah.
Because it costs about 5 or 10 times that here. It is ridiculous. So be happy that you have access to cheap lentils, because I love lentils. They're amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exactly. I can relate to what you said. I was just out of the country as well on a holiday just last weekend, and it was only 5 days, so I didn't care at all. I ate whatever I wanted to, and I ate as much as I wanted to. And because it was only a couple of days, you snap out of it again. But there's definitely a risk that if that goes on for a week, 2 weeks, 2 weeks plus, it becomes the norm, right? And as we were saying earlier, things compound, the good things and the bad things. It's also easy to let that new state of eating whatever I want, whenever I want it, become the norm. So there's definitely some self-control and structure involved here. But I also try to live that way and go about how I approach food and sleep and training and kind of everything in that way, in the way of moderation, so to say. Really cool that you have all of these things. It seems like they are ingrained, right? You have them fixed in your being already, and therefore when you veer off track for a bit, it seems easy for you to come back in. So that's very, very good.
It's a lot of, I just looking back now, I remember it's just a lot of small steps over the years. And that's where when I come back to the consistency part, if you do something every day, it compounds. It compounds. I'm also obviously not perfect. And I see, as you know, if you start anything new, if you try to focus on nutrition some more, then you see so much that other people are doing, and it's so much information online where you say, okay, I just know that I know nothing, basically. So that old principle, but still, I'm quite still at the same time. I always try to learn. Obviously not perfect, but far from it. But looking back, I'm a little bit, I'm just happy that all of those small steps then just led up to, because I know how I feel now, and I know how I felt like five years ago, or even 2 or 3 years ago. And it's just, I just see it's a different. That's the reinforcing part, I think, because you say, discipline or snapping out of it and stuff like that. I just saw in a couple of times in my life already when I was not doing it, I didn't feel good, and now I have the contrast, and that I always try to remember that, and that helps me. For example, every time before Christmas. So Christmas usually also is a time in December. I like to, I'm from Bavaria, so also then like to indulge in, more wine and stuff like that, and snacks and what have you, and especially then also a little bit more when I'm with my family during the holidays. I like the obviously Bavarian beer, and a little bit more, let's say, fatty foods that we have there, and
Mhm.
also then sugary. So that's nice. But then also now it's for me it become also natural. In January then I stop in the eye, for example. I have to stop then cold turkey style always. That's for
Mhm.
me just so moderation. Then it's not in that sense doesn't really work too
Mhm.
well for me. I just then have to stop, and then I see, for example, some where family when we sit around and have a glass of red wine in the evening. Then I sometimes the weeks after in the evenings I sometimes think, oh, it would be nice, like a cozy feeling, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But I know I just don't
Mhm.
buy wine or don't buy beer, and then it just takes a week or so, and then you don't think about it anymore. So I think it's also and yeah, that's just also what I learned. So trial and error wise over the last years. That's the way it works for me. Cold turkey and not moderation, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Also not cheat days or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's equally valuable, just as everything else you've said so far. It's you have to know what works for you. I think listening to all that you've talked about now, and even down to the fact that you were a fat kid, as I was too. Funny how many coincidences, how many
Yeah.
parallels we've unearthed here. But some things work for one person and they just don't work for another. If the cold turkey works for you, I suspect we are similar on that as well. Because if I have one little Pringles, I'm gonna have the whole pack. But there's no having one Pringles or one little piece of chocolate. It's going to be the entire thing. So that's just me. But my wife's the exact opposite, right? She can have the bar of chocolate lying in the fridge for a month, and every day just break off one piece, and I have no clue how that works. But some people can maintain moderation in that way, and other people are like, it appears like you and me, we do things, it may seem more drastic, but it just works for us better that way. So that's perhaps the kind of final takeaway for you all out there to figure out your routines, make sure you just get going, you just do it, so to say, just start wherever you are, let the momentum build, and figure out what works for you. Do you have any kind of closing words, any other advice you want to give to the listeners before we wrap this up?
No, I think you summed it quite perfectly. So yeah, as you said, just for me it was doing something every day, and then just don't think too much, don't stress too much, just do it. As I said, I made the most changes when I just I just didn't sort of overthink it. Just started something, and even if it's one push up, it's a start, and you can build from that. And basically, here the two of us as two fat kids, so you can start, you can basically start from any point. Yeah. So yeah, was really nice to talk to you, Johannes.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you, Pirmin, for sharing all of that. And then obviously, it's great that you took the time on your long holiday / work trip / exploring Europe, took the time to come in and talk to me. And I really enjoyed it. I think it was great. I hope the listeners can take some advice away and apply it to their own lives. I would be surprised if someone can take everything away, because as we just said, advice is individualized, but do hopefully take something away. If there's something that you now try and a week or two from now you realize, oh, this is working well for me, I'd love it if you just leave me a comment or send me a message and let me know. So yeah, thank you, Pirmin, again for your time, and thanks everyone for listening, and see you or hear you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode, friends. Allow me to say a few more words before I let you go. I hope you enjoyed this chat with Pirmin and you are able to take away a couple of pointers, a couple of tips how to implement health and fitness routines in your life. If you did find this conversation useful, I think you would also enjoy my monthly newsletter, the Kinsei-Do Fitness Nuggets, where I share actionable tips pertaining to all 5 pillars of optimal health and performance. You can go to kinseido.fit/nuggets to sign up, and you'll get the very next one. And it's only once a month. It isn't long, and it won't clog up your inbox. And I hope you can find more information and more tips that you can take away and implement, just as we did from this conversation with Pirmin. Thank you, and until the next episode.